everyone, welcome back to the channel again. Today we're back on GT Sport and we're back with FIA round 5 of the Manufacturers Championship. This lobby is full of big names, as you can see there, starting P1 Twizzy, P2 Oscar Salent and P3 RC Zocchi, and in P4 we have, let's just wait for it to come on, we have Derek DK, one of the fastest on the game. We're starting in P5. I was really happy with this qualifying when you see who else is in this lobby. There is some really big names. We've got in P6 starting RC Affo, Anthony Deval. We had a little bit of an issue with him in another race, but we'll talk about that separately. P7 we've got Callum Jones driving the Mustang, and in P8 the drivers, just constantly known drivers, you know, some of the biggest drivers in the game. You're going down to P9 TX3 Devil, another very well known driver. It's just all the way through the field. I think this is Giorgio 57, I think is the winner of the Nations Cup that was in the live event. P11 TRL Org, one of the one of the fastest drivers on this game, very fast driver. Going through the grid, it's just constant fast drivers all the way down. You can see there P13 TRL Manu Rudy, another extremely good driver. I don't think he got the best lap in there in qualifying, as I think he was a lot faster than what that shows. P14, another great driver. Look at the way, this is another driver from the live finals, I think the VP driver, I'm sure he was in the finals. Just going through the grid, it's just probably one of the strongest fields I've ever been involved with, and to qualify P5 on this field, I was really happy with that, and I really feel like I'm making progress on this game and starting to really, you know, get that qualifying a bit better. You know, sometimes we're not getting the qualifying perfect like a Brown Hatch, but at least we're doing consistent qualifying. As you can see there, starting P20, another very fast driver, and we're going to just try and do our best in this race, and we're going to switch the cameras around. We're going to go through to the TV replay camera for the first lap, for the most of the first lap and for the start of the race. As you can see there, revving engine, and we're away with the race now. So straight away, what I wanted to do was really try and push hard in this Ferrari. One thing about this car is it's not particularly fast down the straights compared to the other cars that I was fighting with here. Now you've got the Lexus there, very fast straight line car, the Dodge Viper, a very fast car. Luckily for us, we've got Deval behind us, who's not in a particularly known for a fast car. The NSX is a good car, but not particularly fast on a straight line, and he's got a Mustang behind him, so he's going to have to go defensive pretty much straight away. I made sure I really pushed through that turn one. I went really aggressive from the start to try and get in the slipstream of the car in front of me, and it really did pay off. You can see I built a gap up behind me to Deval and the Mustang, and managed to get in the slipstream. As you can see there, an incident straight in front of me as Zocchi has been pushed into the wall. I don't know exactly what's happened when I was in the race, but when you go back, I think this is really naughty. I didn't like what's when I was watching. I could see it looked a bit naughty, but watch this as Derek DK goes down for this move. Now in full speed doesn't look too bad, but even then you can see why I'm going to slow this down now. I really wasn't impressed with this, and I think it was really bad. If you watch Derek's car, there is no attempt to turn in for this corner. You can see Zocchi's going in for the corner. He's pretty much a full car ahead. Derek's just got his left front by the rear of Zocchi, and he does make no attempt to turn into this corner. You look at Derek's car, it is in a straight line, and he really needs to be going over to the inside to give Zocchi space there, and it looked very dodgy. I don't know whether it was deliberate. I didn't like it, but I'm not going to say it was deliberate because it could just be a racing incident, but I didn't like that. It was not much respect there, and rightfully so. I don't think Zocchi was very happy with that at the end of the races. We can see now we're riding on board with Derek as we're trying to put some pressure on him through this part of the track. Really strong, the Ferrari, through this part. I could really plant the foot down on the accelerator and get on the power. We're pretty much blinded at this point because we're that close to the rear of the bumper, and I missed the apex light there. Got a really weird understeer moment there. I've never really had that before, considering I got pretty close to the apex of the corner. Lost a bit of time, and now Zocchi's very close to our rear, you can see there. But we're going to attack this downhill section. I really do love this part of the track. I've said it before in so many videos. I enjoy driving this track. It's just so enjoyable to push any car down this downhill section. You're obviously moving the brake bias a little bit more forwards just to help the stability. It's coming through to the final corner, and what I had to do now was try and get the power really early. We do that reasonably well, pushing right to the wall, and we've still got that Dodge Viper right behind us, but luckily we've got the slipstream with Derek in front of us. I have a feeling maybe Zocchi was doing some fuel saving behind me at this stage, trying to make sure he's got a bit more fuel, as he was faster than me. I was aware that he was going to be faster. He qualified very high up, and he did have better speed. The Dodge Viper is one of the strongest cars around this track. And then you see, I missed the gear shift. I missed my gear shift, and Zocchi nearly got caught out by that. Luckily, there was no contact to give him space on the outside there. And then going through to this final corner, you can see I'm back in the slipstream with Derek. I'm ahead of Zocchi still, and going to see Zocchi's, I don't know if he outbrakes himself here, but he goes into the corner. He gives me a little nudge there, and it was a little bit wrong, but he did apologise at the end of the race. But I get a 1 second penalty. I think he may have got more, maybe a 3 second penalty, I think he said. I didn't quite see, but I wasn't too happy with that incident. I felt like it was a little bit too aggressive trying to make a move there. So what we're going to do is we're going to see now as Zocchi goes into the corner there. I give him space on that corner. You can see I give a 4 cars width. I judge the space pretty much perfect, and then going through to this final corner, you can see he's too far back here now to even think about a move. He has a little look there, and it looks like he did try it. You can see in the turning point that really wasn't an overtaking move. And I mean, I know, I understand that he was faster, but you've got to take the opportunities at the correct time, and that was not the correct time to try and do a pass there. But I've got no, there's no hard feelings. He apologised at the end of the race, and that's all you need to do as a driver. If you make a mistake, own up and apologise. And for myself, that's all I want, is an apology, and there was no hard feelings here. I only got a second penalty, no real harm done, and I'm still in the race. Luckily, it could have ended a lot worse, but luckily for us both, we're still in the race. As you can see there, look how close the action is at the start of lap 2. It's really close action, as you've got some of the best drivers in the world in this lobby. This was probably one of the hardest lobbies I've ever been in. If we would have had TRL Lightning in this lobby, it would have been complete. But without him in there, it's still full of a lot of fast drivers. I'm doing reasonably well. I'm holding my own in the Ferrari. The only issue I've got, like I said before, with the Ferrari is the straight line speed is not great, so I couldn't really short shift on the straights. I had to just rev this car on the straights and use my fuel up. And it's a plan I felt I had to go with, because to stay with the race pace, it was more advisable for me to do that than drop back through the field, losing time and losing more time as I drop further back. So what I'm doing now is just going to pretty much go aggressive on the shifting. You'll see in the corner sometimes I was doing slight short shifting, but nothing major, maybe just changing gear pretty much at the end of the rev instead of letting them rev fully. And again, through that final corner, trying to make sure I get a nice clean exit, as we've got Zocchi right behind us still in that Dodge Viper. And just look at the speed difference. I'm trying to stay with that Lexus, but this Ferrari just cannot keep with these cars on the straight. I tried to get a really clean exit. We're going into this corner now. He's getting a massive slipstream off me now, Zocchi. He's going to try and make a move. I'm going to go with defensive on that inside. You're going to see there, I stay in the middle of the track just so he pretty much can't make a move. I've got the defensive line, and I hold that corner again. So some really good strong defensive driving there again. Going into the final corner now. Let's see if he makes a move into this corner. He's not going to make a move this time. You can see, I think it may have been a little bit of an error on his half on the first move, but he stays clean on this time, and he's going to try and make a move in a safer place, as we're now going to try and get a nice strong exit from this final corner. We've got the 2 other cameras on the top of the screen there, looking back at ourselves from Derek's car, and also the TV replay camera, as I'm trying to get that the corners before the long straights. Turn 1 is so important that I needed to get a good strong exit from this corner to stay in the slipstream of the car in front. You can see me revving pretty much to the end of the revs. I am changing gear a little bit than what I could possibly do. You can see trying to do some form of saving of the fuel. As you can see there, Twizzy up front having a battle with Derek. They're going side by side into this corner. At this point I was a little bit unsure what could happen. Anything can happen at Bathurst when the racing's so tight. We skimmed the wall there. I actually was too worried about looking at the drivers in front. I lost a bit of concentration on where I should have been going. However, we got a really good exit still. There was no real loss of time, and now we're in GTB Twizzy's slipstream, and I've got to try and stay with Twizzy's. Twizzy is probably the fastest driver on this track, pretty much that I've seen. He's very fast, he's consistent, and you can see he's really pushing the limits. He feels comfortable pushing, and he feels comfortable pushing hard what I feel I can. Going into the downhill section now, I'm trying to make sure I stay as close as I can to them. I was really trying to push because I wanted to get in their slipstream to help the defence going down the straight. You can see I went a little bit aggressive there, and we have to lift off because we would have hit that wall, and that's allowed P3 Twizzy to pull away slightly, and now we've got Zocchi right behind us. I tried to really get on the power really early there, and because I tried to do that to get the really good exit on the corner, we've actually lost out on P4, but not much I could do there. I felt like even if I wouldn't have, if I would have done that corner cleanly, it would have been a miracle to be able to stay out of the slipstream. As you can see there, I'm going to try and make a move. I've got a car behind me. This is extremely close racing. Looking at top right hand screen, as you can see how close it is. We're going side by side in the corner. Stay as close to the right hand side as I can to give Zocchi space. He comes over a little bit there, but it gives me just about enough space to take the corner. He runs a little bit wide, but we get on the power really early, trying to stay in his slipstream. We've got that Mustang behind us. It's really important that I stay in the slipstream with the Dodge Viper, and luckily we've managed to hold this position now. However, now I need to make sure I get a really strong exit on this first corner on turn 1, because I've got a Mustang behind me, one of the fastest cars in the game, so I need to make sure this corner is done perfect. I'm going to go into this corner and really put my foot down. You can see there, using all the width of the track into first gear, and I pretty much get that spot on. We get a good clean exit, and luckily for us, it looks like he's not going to be able to make a move. He is gaining on that slipstream. However, we've just about managed to stay in that Dodge Viper's slipstream up ahead, which is really important, and it's stopped a potential move into this turn 2, and we managed to hold that off. And that was really important, because now my car is very much a more solid car through this section than the Mustang, so I can concentrate on trying to make a gap. As you can see there now though, Fab is making a move behind me, trying to get himself into P6. He's actually pulled that off, and now we've got Fab behind us, who is also a very fast driver. You would have seen him in the Nürburgring race that I uploaded, where we were pushing him hard right to the end, and you know, he was a very fast driver. So we've now got Fab behind us, who's going to be pushing hard. I think he was driving the Lexus as well, you know, a car that was very fast around here. The straight line speed was great, so it was going to be tricky to be able to hold that car from the street. So you can see there, Zocchi goes wide and so close to losing it. Luckily, he didn't lose it, and he's still in the race. We managed to gain a bit on him, which is going to help out as if we can get back in that slipstream. So it was a close one. That, you know, a little bit more and he would have been out that then into the wall. So pushing really hard, Zocchi there. He obviously wants to get on with this race and get himself back up to where he probably felt he deserved after Derek probably, you know, was a bit aggressive into that corner. I wouldn't want it to be in Derek's shoes if he would have caught him up and got side by side, because I think he was a little bit hot-headed about the situation, where he, you know, rightfully so as well. You know, Derek it was a really aggressive move into that corner into turn 2. I didn't like it, and I'm sure Zocchi didn't. So now going through these corners now, we're going to try and stay close to these. As you can see, a lot of the drivers up ahead, I did pay attention to this, had penalties. I know I had that 1 second penalty, but I know a lot of them drivers will have more than 1 second after what had happened in obviously the start of the race and stuff. So this stage is looking really good. We're still in the position we qualified. We was in P4, obviously we lost that position, but you know, we qualified P5 and we're in P5. You can see there, Afros fell back a bit. I was a bit surprised at that. TRL Org is up there in P7. We've got some really strong drivers still in this race now at the front. As we're going to move to the TV replay cameras, you can see I've dropped back a bit there from Zocchi. I haven't been able to hold on to his slipstream because the Ferrari just didn't have the legs on the straight. So they're all getting slipstreams off of each other, and I'm just sat there with no slipstream. So really vulnerable down the straight now. As you can see there, that Lexus got really close to me going through these corners. However, I was able to hold it off just about, and now we get through to the part of the track that I feel a bit stronger on. You can see the lap times have been okay. Lap 2 was okay. Lap 3 had the instant where we had to get out of the throttle, so we lost a lot of time on lap 3. Lap 4 was a bit better, but again we had to be careful of when Zocchi obviously made that mistake and we lost a bit of time. I had to lift a little bit just in case. So we would have been pretty much in 2 minutes 12 by looks of it. You know, we got a 2:12.4 on lap 2. Lap 4 would have probably just crept into the 2:12s. And now this lap I've got to just try and keep it calm, keep the car on the track, and then we're going to be going in the pits. Obviously you can see there, as you can see all the dust coming up, Zocchi has made another error on the same corner, obviously pushing a little bit too hard, trying to gain some ground on the leaders, and he's lost a bit of time. And this was good for me, because now he's made that mistake, I'm going to have a slipstream to help me out down the straight. So I really have to try and concentrate and get a smooth, clean exit from this corner, and we managed that. We get on the power reasonably early. You know, even then though, just look how the Dodge Viper is still pulling away from me, even though I'm in his slipstream, and that Lexus is gaining on us. This is getting really close, as you can see there. Just wait until you see this Lexus come into screenshot as we pan the camera around, and you can see there the Lexus is getting really close. I'm going to have to go defensive, so I stay to the left hand side, give him the right hand side of the track, because that's where I'd rather he was. So I've got the inside line into this corner, I brake as late as I can, give him space on the outside, try and carry as much speed as I can through the corner. And Org makes a very a risky move and nearly took out Fab behind us. Really risky move. It's going into the pit lane. I decided to take it really easy. As you can see there again, Zocchi pushing too hard in the pit lane entry, has lost control, hit the wall, and lost a lot of time. That is why I do not push in the pit lane. I've seen so many people do that in other races. You know, I just take it easy on that pit entry now. It's not worth the risk of losing so much time. It's such a tricky entry. I had practiced it before the race, so I knew how I was going to take it, and I just took it cautious. Look at the fuel difference, so you can see there straight away what I was talking about. in the fuel stage, we were on 19%. A lot of the others 35% and 25%. So we've lost position to Fab up ahead, but we're not too far down. We're in P8. However, we've got drivers that look like they could be on a different strategy. After watching the Nations final that you would have watched on the weekend gone, you will notice there RCFO, who is Duval, was not pitting a lot in his races, and it looks like he's not going to be pitting in this race. He's staying out. However, I was pretty confident that wouldn't be the best strategy. It's very close if you can get it right. I'd done it in the M4 here a while ago when we did our first ever race in the FIA races, and we managed the P4, I think it was, with that strategy, and it was so slow during the last few laps. Doing that strategy, I wouldn't go for that strategy again. That's why I went for this aggressive strategy, driving flat out, and it's just so enjoyable being in these races when you're pushing hard. You've got cars, all around you. Look how close this still is. We're on lap 6 out of 10. We've had over 10 minutes of racing, pretty much close to like 12-14 minutes of racing, and this is how close it is for the top 10 positions. Obviously there's going to be a couple of drivers in this field in front of me that are not on the same strategy as the majority. They're going to be going for that strategy of not pitting, which is going to be hard on the tyres, and it's also going to be very hard on the fuel, to get it to the end. So in this position now, I just wanted to keep pushing and try and see if we can get past these drivers that are obviously on a different strategy and doing that zero stopper strategy. As you can see, look at all the red flashing lights. You can see a lot of people have got penalties. We're just going to keep pushing hard, trying to stay in Fab's slipstream. That Lexus was extremely hard to stay with down the straights. It was so fast. I experienced it at Brands Hatch how fast it was in terms of its acceleration. So we've got a driver obviously on that alternative strategy, getting in the way of drivers a little bit, and I think he should be like, I understand he's obviously on his own strategy and doing his own race, but I think he should have been a bit more clever about how he did his races. He tries to block me on the inside there, doesn't give me the corner, even though he knows he's not really racing me, and we nearly come into contact there. We're going to actually go back and have a little watch of this, and I'm going to show you what I mean. I don't know if they've done something to the game, but I noticed when he hit the curb, he actually ghosted somehow and didn't actually have contact with me. As again, he kind of pulled in on Fab there, which was a little bit naughty, and nearly cost Fab being knocked out the races. We're then going around the outside. I saw what had happened, so I was trying to be cautious. I went around the outside. You can see the extra grip I've got over him now. I can brake later. I give him space on the inside. He hits the curb on the inside, and it flings his car over to the right, and his car just goes and doesn't affect mine. So luckily, I don't get a penalty in that little incident. And obviously also luckily we haven't really lost the slipstream of Fab, who's in front of us there. We're just about still in the slipstream, and you can see back now on this replay camera, you can see everyone behind us. No one's really gained on us from the pit stop. We've still got Org obviously a few seconds behind us. It stayed pretty even from the pit stop. We've managed to pull, if anything, a little bit of a gap out to them, and I'm just trying to keep pushing hard, trying to stay in that slipstream. It's the best way for me to run. I've obviously got the fuel to run flat out to the end now. I don't really need to worry about fuel saving, obviously, as I couldn't really do a massive amount. All I could do is the odd short shifting and stuff in the first few laps. I couldn't really. On the straights, I've pretty much had to drive this car aggressively because the Ferrari is so slow. I wanted to stay in the slipstreams as much as possible and use their slipstream to help me on the straights. That was the best strategy I felt I could go on, and it was probably the best strategy you could go on in general on this Ferrari. On tighter, twistier tracks, this Ferrari is very good. However, obviously tracks like Bathurst, it's good through this middle section. I felt confident pushing. You could see I was gaining on the middle section, and even on the downhill part, look at this now. We've gone purple there on that sector, which is really nice. That's the fastest sector up to that point, and then I really tried to push through this sector. I pushed a little bit too hard there. We lost a bit of time on that downhill section, and then going into this final corner, I pushed too hard. You can see the front end sliding there. I couldn't get the angle into the corner. I had to go really wide, and you can see I delayed before I could get back on the power, and we lost about 3-4 attempts in that little few corners. So that was a little bit frustrating because I was on a very good lap at that point. However, obviously it's not the worst thing. We're in this for a good result, and that's what I wanted to get. I'm not too worried about lap times at this point of the race. All I want to do is try and stay in this reasonably good position. We're in P6 here out of some of the best drivers in the world. Just to show you how strong this lobby was. Obviously, ranked 17th in the world. I was out of ranked 17th in this lobby. So 63,000 DR when I went in this lobby, and we're ranked 17th. So it shows they're pretty much maxed out ranks throughout this lobby, and there's some very strong drivers involved with this race. It's obviously we've got P1 there, RC Affo, who won the Manufacturers Championship in the live event at the Nürburgring. He also came P2 or 3, I think it was, in the Nations final. So he's going for a similar strategy to what he was doing in them races, where he's not going to pit, he's trying to save the fuel and trying to make it work. However, I was dubious of that plan, because I know obviously from when I did the BMW, like I said earlier in the video, you know, it's a hard strategy to run. It's you know, especially on the last few laps, you end up losing so much time on the straights, and pretty much everywhere going up the hill, you've got to save fuel on the uphill sections when you need to be using the power of the car. So I prefer running it the way I'm doing it now, you know, aggressive, trying to go to the end, you know, flat out rather than not pitting. As you can see there, we went through the sector before as well, another blue sector, so another reasonable sector through there, trying to again stay with Fab in front of us. I'm trying to push reasonably hard. I'm not taking too many risks. I don't want to make an error at this point of the race and lose a massive haul of points. Like I say, you know, with such a strong lobby, a top 6, you know, top 7 position would be good points. However, I obviously did know at this point, as you can see again, we go through that sector on a blue sector, which is a 107.3, but that was actually faster than what I think I'd just done it before. However, obviously someone's you know, improved their lap. I think you can see there 2 minutes 12.0. We had potential. I think I could have got that lap in well, I know I could have done, obviously I'd done the track guide with worn tyres, and we hit that 2 minutes 12.0, so there was potential for it, but obviously didn't want to over push this car and make an error that would lose me big points. And you know, there were some bigger points, massive points available in this race, and especially with drivers not pitted yet, and it's, you know, it's coming through to the last few laps at this stage, and I'm just going to try and keep the car, you know, good solid laps. That's what I want. Your last lap was a 12.8. This looks like it's going to be another mid, you know, 2 minutes 12.5 or 6 or something like that, as we're just trying to hold on to Fab. He's got some good speed. He's starting to, you know, lose us from that slipstream. We're 1.1 seconds behind now, so it's going to be a struggle, but luckily for ourselves, we've got a 7-second lead over Giorgio, who's behind us there, Giorgio 57, so it's looking fairly good at this stage of the race, and just got to try and keep it calm and keep it on the track, because again, I'm trying to push reasonably hard through that final corner to get back in the slipstream, but he did the same thing, really pushed to try and get me out of that slipstream, and we're now going to struggle. Watch the difference in straight line speed, as we've not got a slipstream. The delta just increases on that Lexus. That Lexus is a monster down the straight. It's just so fast and powerful. There's not much I can do in this Ferrari. As we're going to go through these corners now, you can see the difference now. GT Twiziers obviously overtook Afo as well as Derek, and now Afo, you can see him just up ahead. I think he's there in P3, about 4 or 5 seconds up the road, and we've got 2 laps to do it, so it's looking very good. It looks like he's obviously struggling, you know, he's having to do a lot of fuel saving, so this is going to go down to the wire. This is going to be extremely close at the end of this race. Who is going to get these top 5 position, you know, finishing positions in this race? It's going to be a real nail-biting finish. As you can see there, we've got penalties on cars, we've got cars on different strategies, and this again emphasizes the point I say about GT Sport. It is so much fun. You know, these FIA races, which have got when you're in the top split races with the best drivers in the world, it's just so close, and great fun to race in, you know, with these drivers when it's all clean and there's no instances. Again, you can see how hard Fab pushed through there. I pushed really hard. I've actually caught him up. It looks like he made a few errors on this lap, and then again I pushed. You can see the difference. I should have been over on that right side. I made an error, hit that wall, and frustratingly, it's lost me a chance of probably being very close to him, you know, down the straight. I wouldn't have been able to make a move on him, because even with the slipstream, I'd learned earlier in the race, when I had the slipstream, I still couldn't get close enough in terms of speed. It was out accelerating me with it, even though I had a slipstream. So I just wanted to get closer into the braking zone to see if we could really put some pressure on him through the corner. So you can see there, Afo is right in front of us now. Deval is right in front of us, and we're closing in on him. We're going to see if we can make some sort of, you know, impression. We've got pretty much one lap to do this. He's a couple of seconds up the road. It's looking very promising. However, though, we didn't want to get stuck behind him through the corners. I really wanted to get past him on this long straight. However, what you find is, if people are doing this strategy, they try and save their fuels for the straights and then just do all the fuel saving in the corners. So you can see there, Fab, he's got really close now. It looks like he's going to get him on this straight, which is not good for me. It means I'm going to lose any chance of putting some pressure on at the end for the last lap on Fab. But, you know, we're in P6. This is a great result. We've got some of the best drivers in the world in this lobby, and we are doing great. And you can see there, Fab's making a move on Afo. He's going down the right hand side. He's got that move made really well. I've gone through that sector really well. My best of the race so far. We're trying to go really hard. You can see lap 9 was a 2 minutes 30.3 where we made that horrible error. That was where we hit that wall again, and that probably knocked 4 or 5 temps off the lap. So we were driving really well. We did a 2 minutes 12.8, a 2 minutes 12.5, as we're going to ride on board now with RC Afo, as we're going to try and put some serious pressure on him now. He's obviously going to be struggling. Look how much speed I've got over him on the corners in terms of grip. I'm having a little look down the right, having another look on the inside there. I've got extra tyres, you know, better tyre wear. I've got a car with more fuel. But at this point I decided, you know, I need to be patient. I need to not worry about trying to get past him. So you're going to see me be very patient through the rest of this last sector now. You see I'm backing off there. I'm just trying to take clean lines, and I want to line this up for the final corner. You can see the difference in terms of grip. So going in this downhill section, you can see trying to keep it smooth. I don't want to make a stupid error on this final corner. I really needed to hook this final corner up, you know, for this last lap. I have to get it right. So again, I get that much better that time. I get on the power really early. I pretty much go to the outside of the track using the full width, and you can see the difference in the exit. I've got a really nice exit speed. We're going to make a move, as you can see there. Now we're going down the side of Afo, and we've actually got past him. Yeah, you can see the difference now in fuel. I'm able to just pull away, and we've managed to get ourselves up into P5 on the final lap. This will be a great result. You know, we've still got that second penalty though, so I had to push now through this last few corners. There's obviously Afo, if he finishes within a second, he's going to take that. However, I knew I had to try and take the penalty off at the finishing line. As you can see there, we've got Oscaro trying to get rid of a penalty. We've managed to get past him, and this is going to be so close. He's under a second from us, and I need to stop my car and get rid of that penalty and still try and beat him. As we go as close as I dared to the line, slammed on, and somehow, I don't know how, we managed to do it and get ourselves into P3 in this race, as Derek had a massive penalty and we finished fractions ahead of Oscaro there. So extremely close racing at the end of the race, and what a race that was. And I actually feel like it's made up for the race we had at Tsukuba, where we had that penalty and we took it in the wrong place. This time I got it right. I judged that to perfection. I don't think I could do that again. I just saw the line and thought, where could I brake to try and, you know, get this third position, and we managed to get that. So really happy with that. You can see there 2,640 points. I think that's my highest scoring round, and I'm really happy with that. And that actually puts us now, I think, much higher up on the leaderboard. We'll have a little look now. So as you can see there, we're into P4 in the overall rankings, which is really amazing. I'm really happy with that, and we're P1 in the Manufacturers Championship, quite comfortably P1, so that is looking also very good. So really good race, I thoroughly enjoyed that, and I've got myself now in a very strong position in this championship and doing really well. So I can't really do much better than what I feel at the moment. I feel like there is potential, obviously, to get a bit faster in some of these races. I know my race pace could be a bit better, and I think that's something I do need to work on. Trying to get that little extra couple of attempts that I know is there, but I definitely feel like I'm making progress in it. I can feel myself getting more consistent at driving to a fast level, and it's great to see that I'm in P4 in this championship. I didn't expect to be there after that. You know, before this race, we're starting this race, I didn't think the Ferrari would be that particularly strong there, but it was great to see that it was, and I thoroughly enjoyed that race. So if you enjoyed that race, please make sure you sub the channel. We are uploading daily videos on GT Sport every single day. We're taking part in as many FIA races as possible. We've got the Nations race that was also on the same day as this to upload. That is going to be a little bit different, and there's going to be some controversy in that, and it's going to be an interesting video. I've calmed down since obviously the race, and I'm going to look back on it and try and give an objective approach to it, and I hope you guys enjoy it. There's still some great racing involved with that in that race, and it's going to be an interesting one, let's just say that. And I'm sure some people that follow me on Twitter will know what I'm talking about, but we'll look forward to that tomorrow. Hopefully have that video out tomorrow. Anyway guys, like I say, make sure you sub the channel if you haven't already subbed. Click that notification button so you don't miss any future videos. Like I say, I'm uploading every single day, and I will be doing a set of course and project cards every now and then also. So thanks again for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that video.